Okay, so today is Sunday. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, um, and the pressure is on. I'm not getting any younger at all. That's how it works. There's a couple of things that are a sure thing, which is death and taxes. Okay, all right. There's taxes that I need to pay, and there's death, and eventually it's gonna happen. I already see. I already see when it's gonna happen. Okay, I already see it. Um, so the promised land is there. All I have to do is go there and get it. And I said to myself, and I disclaimed to the world that I'm profitable. And I'm thinking to myself, so if I'm profitable, why am I still developing myself? Why am I? So maybe I'm not profitable, okay? I'm not profitable, and I'm telling everybody that I am profitable. But I am profitable because I got a couple payouts. So that's profit, right? Um, so maybe being profitable doesn't mean that I'm always winning. There will be periods when I'm like I need to be more careful of, and then to be really profitable, it'll get to that point where I'm like massively profitable, right? So what I have been thinking about, I have been for quite a while. I don't know where this is coming from now. Maybe, like I said, somebody has lit a fire underneath my feet, and I'm just feeling it now. I need to get it. I need to get it going. I was like relaxed. I was falling asleep. I was like, because things were working. Okay, things were working. All right. So things were working, and all I had to do was just take my time and do that. But there will be times when my thought would be preoccupied, and somebody will throw in a monkey wrench, and then everything just unravels. There will be a moment of when my brain just shuts down, and when it shuts down, it doesn't do that in one day. I mean, it takes like set 2 days to 3 days. It can do that because something latches in. So what I was going to talk about is like a journaling and back testing are so important, but I just neglected it for the past 5 years. These are the two things. The constant journaling and constant back testing is a way to move forward. Okay, so it is best for me to track what I'm doing so that I can analyze it later, so that I can fine tune it. So when I'm trading and I'm looking at a setup, everything seems to be like a new setup because it's a repeat of something. So I never grow because I'm not analyzing what I'm doing, and it takes years. It takes a far longer time to evolve a particular setup that I'm using into a better results because I'm not looking at it. I'm not looking at it in depth to see how I can improve what I'm doing, right? I have to improve what I'm doing in order to be more effective. Okay, so sometimes I wonder about it. I'm a little bit hesitant in being bogged down by, and so I'm bogged down by the analysis of something, right? Something called analysis paralysis. Um, so I guess the term analysis paralysis means exactly that. I'm unable to process. I'm unable to process. I become hesitant. I see. This is very important. It's been 5 years now. It's been 5 years. I have taken advantage of these people who own these restaurants. Okay, I have taken advantage of these people who own these restaurants and asking them to keep me on for a few more year or two and things like that. But I need to make this work. But unfortunately, this probation this probation is 10 years long. Okay, 10 years long. So um, the fear that I have is that anywhere I go, within a matter of 3 or 4 months, they're going to figure out who I am, right? They're going to figure out that I am an extreme introvert. Okay, this is the fear I have, and that's why I can't go anywhere else. Okay, I cannot go anywhere else because I have this fear. I have this fear that if I go somewhere else to work, first of all, it's hard. It's very difficult to work because background checks are like $5. I mean, it's so cheap. Everybody does that, right? Even mom and pop places, they do background checks to hire people, and they don't. It's difficult to explain away. They say, "Hey, what happened? What happened?" I'm just what do you? I don't know how to explain it. I have no idea how to explain the situation. Okay, because I haven't communicated with individuals about my particular situation to talk about what the situation is. But I have not I have not practiced in explaining what happened. Okay, what happened? Okay, what happened? Um, so let me just take you back. Okay, so here's how it happened. All right. So so in the beginning, in the beginning, not the Bible, in the beginning, in year 2002, I got divorced, and I was in a mental breakdown. It got me. So this started like 23 years ago, and I was like literally, um, I was like devastated. I was devastated. Only I didn't know that I was devastated. Okay, I didn't know that I was devastated, but I was devastated back then. Okay, and here I am. I have a couple kids that are in tow, called a um, what is that? Partial parenting or something like that, right? And so they would be with me for a while, and they'd be with, and it was something that was it was like trying to grow another arm. It was impossible. Here's one. I'm looking. I'm like remembering this memory of my daughter, and she's wearing this pair of jeans, and I had no idea I had to get her a new pair of pants because she was outgrowing it, and I was like so devastated. I I was I was so devastated. I was like for years I was like walking around. I don't know how I was able to function. I was it was I'll tell you what, anybody who's going through divorce, unless they're mature enough to handle the emotions, it's I'll tell you what, it's I do not wish it upon people to go through that experience. It is one of the most horrific experiences that somebody can get into, really. I mean, it's wow. If you can avoid it, avoid it. It's a life lesson that can be learned some other way, but that's not the way that I learned it is not. I mean, I was literally when I first talked about it after divorcing, it was like getting hit with a Mack truck. It was like it was um so now for years I would be like I wasn't able to hold down a job. I was not, and I couldn't get a job in Arizona, so I had to move out. So my kids were there, and I had to move out, and so I was like bouncing from one place to the other without being able to like hold down a job because I was damaged. I was damaged before I got married and before I had kids, but I was like even more damaged. I was damaged. Okay, I was damaged. I grew up in a very limited protective life, right? So so then in like 2006, I went to India to a co-worker's wedding, okay? And so I took videos of the well-wishers from the US and went over there and showed it to him. And then the wedding was done, and then I felt really sick. Okay, I felt really sick, but I didn't know what was making me sick. I was like really dark, and I mean, I was like, I lost a lot of weight. And then when I came back, after a while, after a couple years, okay, I came back, and then I was, so I didn't, so I went back to work. But going back to work with whatever I brought was causing me to be like very weak. Okay, and so I wasn't functioning right. I wasn't the same. And so what happened was apparently tuberculosis there is a commonplace, and apparently I didn't have a shot for tuberculosis, and so I caught the tuberculosis. I returned from India with tuberculosis, and I was suffering from it, and my liver was and at that time I was smoking too, and I was like chain smoking, and I was in bad shape, and it was I was in bad shape. I was I was in real bad shape. So I lost my job there, and then I came to Boise, and and I was there for like I don't know how long I've been there. I don't know, maybe a year or something like that. And and I was like collecting unemployment while I was trying to get like employed, and I was trying to see my kids once in a while. Um, and then uh, and then um, and then I went to California where my sibling was, and apparently, and I think I fell down and got my clavicle was broken. I was riding a bicycle in Boise, and all the while had this tuberculosis that I was suffering, and somehow I think I quit smoking at that point. Right, I stopped smoking at that point. I stopped smoking. It was like year 2010 or something like that. I don't know, 2010 somewhere around there. It was. I missed out. I missed out a lot on my kids. I'll tell you what. It's man. I'll tell you what. Life was very, very hard. I'll tell you what. It was extremely hard. It was. I was all over the place. I was. I boy. It was a really, really confusing life. It was. I don't know how I got here. And then all of a sudden I turned 56 years old now. I don't know. Between that time, 23 years, 23 years ago to now, I don't know how I survived, but I just got here. And then what happened was, uh, apparently it's contagious. Tuberculosis is contagious, and I didn't know that I had tuberculosis. So I was in the sibling's house while I was there for like 2 weeks, while I was getting my. See, I couldn't get a job here. Okay, I couldn't get a job here, and so I, so through the Christian community, I was able to get a job over there, so I can get a surgery done to replace this clavicle. So I went into surgery and I had this replaced, and then the company went under soon after, right? And so I was living in an apartment, or in a room, paying about $500 a month, and I was out of a job. And then I tried to find another job, so I did get a job, but soon they found out that I was no good. I'm not good at all. I was not good. I was not a good engineer. Okay, I was not a good. I wasn't able to converse I was not able to converse with people. I had people skills problem. I was I am not a people's person because I haven't practiced. I find no enjoyment in conversing with other people. I don't. I find it I don't find any enjoyment because first of all, when people talk about things, they talk about things that are completely it is irrelevant. For example, when people talk, they talk about their interest, which is essentially has nothing to do with my interest. There's no commonality in between the people that I'm conversing with and myself. There's no interest in there's no interest. So so uh so I lack communication skills with other people. And I don't want to waste people's time by trying to communicate something that I really don't want to be communicating with. But that's how people communicate. I don't know. I've never done that before. So I never communicated, right? So talking with people are very, very hard. And when it's difficult to communicate with people, I have difficulty communicating with my kids. I have difficulty communicating with my ex-wife. So I am really I don't talk to people very much. I don't. I don't talk to people I don't talk to people. Okay, period. So how did I get here? So when I was there, apparently, and then I moved back to Boise after. I didn't move back to Boise. So then I was like struggled, and then I had some like I was having some serious problems with my liver. Okay, and it was all a complication of having suffering tuberculosis. So then I went to North Carolina and I checked in with the doctor to figure out what it is, and I happened to have a tuberculosis, and so I was medicated. I was taking medication to rid it out of my system, and I told my siblings, hey, look, you may have tuberculosis, and so you need to take care of it because I took care of it. I didn't know that I had it, right? So apparently, the sibling got enormously upset because apparently tuberculosis is a big problem for them. Okay, and so there was an enormous amount of hatred, like thinking that I purposely spread this tuberculosis onto them, and there was bad blood. Okay, there was bad blood. Okay, the guy wanted to kill me for for spreading tuberculosis when I didn't even know about it, right? And so I was in North Carolina for about 3 years, and then I bought a couple cars for my kids, and then I bought a car for myself, and I would go to Arizona and drop it off and come back and things like that. And I noticed that I didn't realize that my mother was old. Okay, and and I conversed with her almost every night. Okay, and I realized that she needed somebody there. Okay, she needed somebody there to take care of her. Okay, she needed somebody to be here in Boise to take care of her. Okay, so I quit that job and I moved here and tried to get a job at my Micron so I can take care of her. But I didn't realize how bad it was. Okay, I didn't realize how bad it was because there was this serious amount of animosity. There's serious amount of animosity between siblings and myself, and so I was there, and I was like trying to get some sleep, and the sibling came over from California just to pound on me while I was sleeping, and he just walloped me. I had bruises for weeks. Okay, and so apparently there was an agreement between my mother and him that there's an approval so you can beat the shit out of this guy who's trying to get some sleep for whatever the situation was, right? And so I was like, what the hell's going on? What the heck is going on? So I didn't do anything. I should have called the police like he did to me, right? So in 2017, while I was working at Micron, and he came over, and I just pushed him down, and then he called the police, and then I was like, I just pushed him down. That was it. I didn't hit him or anything. And so then we went to court. He sued me in court. Okay, I didn't even hit him. He fell down. I pushed him. He fell down. That was it. But he got me into a misdemeanor. Okay, that's what happened. He was so upset. He was so upset that I pushed him, right? So this guy was standing next to me before the police officer came, bit his lip to cause blood to come out of his mouth. That's the kind of individual that he was, right? So so then I was like so they gave me probation, like community service for 10 days in the courthouse. Okay, okay, in the courthouse, right? So uh, so that was that. And then, but there was still now that I only got community service, the guy was so upset. So these two are like scheming to plot. They're plotting to destroy my life. These two siblings were plotting to destroy my life, right? And so they're literally trying to destroy my life. Okay? So then I'm there and I'm trying to help I'm trying to help my father and my mother there. I was the only one. The one, there's two siblings. One of them was in California. He's selfish. He's doing his thing. I'm here, partially able-bodied, but I'm still suffering from. I mean, I wasn't eating right. I was like still suffering from this mental anguish of this this emotional thing is just really tough. It just messes you up for the rest of your life. My life, I was hit hard. So I'm there. I'm not eating very well. And then my mother's, who's like they're in the old age, has to take care of it. My father is declining. Okay, and so this guy shows up. The sibling, the sibling comes back from California, puts this like puts these paperwork of like eviction notice and things like that, right? So he's trying to cause a emotional disturbance. I didn't know anything about emotion until now. I started learning about trading, and I started to discover how powerful emotion is in trading. Okay, trading trading emotion is I mean, trading has taught me what emotion is. It made me a psychologist to myself. So this guy is true to put place like papers about like evictions and things like that, right? So and I was taking care of my father too. Okay, I was taking care of my father, and by this time, because I was like had a misdemeanor, I was fired from Micron. Okay, I was fired from Micron because of that guy, right? Simply for just pushing him. I got caught. I was I had a misdemeanor in my record. Okay, in my in my public record, saying that I had a misdemeanor for committing a battery or assault or whatever it is, right? Simply for pushing this guy who a couple years ago beat the shit out of me, right? So I was just laying there, and I didn't know I was totally innocent. So this guy, so he did that, right? Just let me tell you, I need to explain this, okay? I was about to get a job at HP, and this lady who was about to hire me says, "Hey, look, we did a background check on you. Can you explain what this is?" And I said, I don't know how I can explain it. I don't talk to people very well. I'm just an engineer, so I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. So now I'm explaining it. I'm gonna put it up there. I'm gonna explain the situation. So 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 then I was fired, and so now I got a job. I got a job at a local guy who used to work at Micron, who is a Catholic, and so he gave me a job, and so I worked there for a little bit. But I had to take care of my father. Okay, he was wheelchair bound, and he needed somebody to pick him up, and then literally put him in a wheelchair and bring him out to the living room and bring it out. I had to shovel everything, had to take care of his urine, had to take care of his defecation, all that stuff, and give him bath and stuff like that. There was nobody who could do that. Nobody who could do that. Nobody. And my mother, who's weak and old, cannot help with that. Okay. So I saw the situation where my father was hanging on to my mother, and my mother was trying to help out, but and then her back was thrown because he hung on to her. So I couldn't I could so I had to step in. I had to become the power of attorney. Okay, I had to become a power of attorney to take care of him. Okay, I was the only one who could take care of him. All right, so I'm taking care of him. So I'm trying to get him into the hospital so we can fix him. We can figure out how he can get better, or make it so that he's a less because he needed a 24-hour round the clock care. Okay, so he defecates, he urinates everywhere, and so he has to be taken care of 24/7, and we can't do that. Okay, I had to work while taking care of him. My mother's old. The second sibling that was in there, he's handicapped. He's physically handicapped, physically, because he suffered a stroke. He cannot be bird. So he's useless. The one in California is in California, 1,000 miles away. So I'm taking care of this. I'm taking care of my father and my mother. So during the day, I'm taking her around, going shopping and Costco, Shopco, and all that stuff. I'm taking care of her, right? So then, my father, I put him in because there was he needed when he's like urinating, he needs help. He needs to be picked up and things like that. But I can't. We can't. Everybody can't stand. Everybody can't be taking care of him. So I went to the hospital and got him in one of those tubes that's inserted so that he can urinate by himself. Right. At least we can take care of that. But he pulled it out when I brought him back, and so now I had to take him to the I had to take him to the hospital, and from the hospital I took him to the nursing center. Okay, so that he can live in the nursing center, because there's no way to help this. There's no way to spend 24 hours taking care of somebody who's unwilling to cooperate, and so he's in a nursing home being tended to 24/7. Okay, so that it relieves the people who needs to live. Okay, and so then he passed away there. So I took care of him. I buried him, all that other stuff. Right. Then after I took care of my father, okay, losing my job with that Catholic guy, because I could not devote more time. I could not devote more time to the work there, because they wanted me to go to Utah to install the salt walls, like Himalayan salt wall in a bath spa or something. I couldn't go because I had to take care of my father. I had to do that. I was responsible in taking care of my father, so I had to do that, right? So my father passed away, and then these two. Now that I took care of my father, now it's easier. So they wanted to take care of. Now they want to take care of the parents, right? So the older one, the older sibling came over and started talking about the evictions and things like that. And I told my mom, I told my mother, I said, look, I want to help you, and in order for me to help you, despite the fact that you made them the caregiver of you, in order for me to be here to help you in your own house, is for you to give me control over this house so that I can be near you. So she signed over the paper, and then it was notarized, and I had retained the ownership of the house. And it got them furious. It got them enormously furious. And I was staying there, and then they falsified documents, and then they evicted me from the house that I owned. Okay? At that time, the warfare was so severe. And if they really wanted to take care of our mother, I was perfectly willing for them to take care of her. And so I left, okay? The police came over, they tried to evict me, but I just left, okay? And I was living in extended stay America. I was like, the cost to live there was like a lot of money. It was a lot of money. By this time, I had full ownership with power of attorney, and I had ownership of everything, of my father's estate. I owned it. I owned everything, okay? And so he had approximately about $70,000 to $80,000 in the money that he had. Using that, I pay for his medical, I pay for his burial, and all that stuff. And what was left over, I handed quite a few of it to my ex-wife so that she could take care of the things around there. And then I kept that to survive. Okay, I kept the rest of it to survive so I can figure out some way to get into another employment. So I was there. And then I asked for the help. This Catholic deacon, I put him through a lot of hell. This Catholic deacon who God has put me in this situation to ask his help. Okay, so he helped me. And then there was somebody who was in Orlando, Florida, because I was like, I had no place to go. I was devastated. I went through literally. I was emotionally just spent. I was at a point of just total breakdown. I was literally at a point of like a breakdown. I wanted to just end it all, right? But I asked God. I said, "Hey, look, I need some help. Okay, I need some help. If I don't get this help, it's going to be the end of the road." And so I got this job in Orlando. So I was there for a couple of years. And I held on to the ownership of the house, okay? while I was evicted. And so now there was a civil court that they wanted. They wanted to sue me. They sued me for my father's estate and the house. And so I was in litigation for like 6 or 7 months. All right? I was in litigation for 6 or 7 months in civil court, and the cost was like $30,000 to $40,000. Every penny that I made, I gave it to the lawyer. And I was in debt. I was in debt. Okay? So the lawyer knew that I couldn't pay him, right? I couldn't pay him. So they knew that I could not pay my lawyer because all the money has been extracted, right? It was in civil court. And then the judge, at the time when the civil judge had this court hearing, the attorney that I had didn't show up for court. So they took the house. They took the house, okay? They signed over the house. They took it. So I was unable to go see my own mother, right? So at that time, I kept talking. I kept calling my mom. I said, hey, I was trying to communicate with her to her last days, okay? So I communicated, right? I called and called and called and called. So every time I called, they would block my phone, all right? So then I had to get a criminal attorney, right? Because they took it to criminal court. And so the prosecutor, state prosecutor, wanted 2 felony charges on me, okay? And what happened was the civil attorney and the criminal attorney, they made a judgment that I was guilty, okay? They made a judgment, so they cooperated with the prosecution in the state of Idaho. And so I had nobody on my side, okay? And I didn't know anything about law. At that time, I was like, I've never been in this situation where somebody said they're going to put me in prison for 50 years. And boy, this is the end of the world. I was like, divorce caused me to be out of my mind. But that thing just was like 10 times the problem, okay? So I was like out of my mind. I was like drinking coffee and all that stuff. And I was like devastated, right? I was devastated. So they come up to me and say, hey, look, we're only just going to get you for one, okay? We're just only going to get you for one. So you admit to one of them, you select whichever one you want, and then it will be 10 years probation, okay? You cannot drink, you cannot have a firearm, you can't do all these things. You have no rights. You don't have whatever it's called, the Fifth Amendment or Fourth Amendment, okay? Right to privacy, whatever it is. You have no rights whatsoever, okay? You either agree or we're going to get you for 50 years. So my own fucking attorney, criminal attorney, right? He's working with the other people and he's convinced that I'm an animal, right? So I'm having this conversation with pre-sentence investigation. This girl who may be like 25 years old, and she's the first 30 minutes of the conversation that I was having over the internet with the computer is like she's purposely cutting in and off, trying to like make me very angry, right? I wasn't angry. I was just talking to her, and then like 3/4 of the way, she's asking me, so if you're innocent, why are you not angry? Right? This is what I went through. This is precisely the reason why. This is precisely the reason why I could not fight it. There's no way to fight it. There's no way to fight in a situation where the totality of the system and my own attorneys were out to get somebody like me. They wanted, if I fought back in court, they would have fucked me over. I knew it, right? I knew they were going to do that. And so the only way to save myself is to agree to something that I didn't commit. Okay? And that's why I'm in this situation. Nobody believes me. Nobody in this whole world believes me. Nobody in this whole world believes me. Nobody. Okay? Nobody. What I told is the truth, but nobody believes. Okay? These motherfuckers, they don't believe. I'm telling you the truth. Those two are liars. Okay, they put me in this situation. All right, so here I am. Okay, so that's where I am. So when this person who's at HP is asking me, "Hey, can you explain this? Can you explain this?" Okay, so I'm gonna put this up, and I'm gonna. If anybody asks me what happened, this is the video you want to watch. Okay. Okay, why are you not angry? Are you? If you're here, I would have just strangled your neck. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You have no. You. The reason why you asked is because you're not. You have never been in this situation. You've never been in this situation, and you're asking this such a dumb question. I'm sitting there. I'm going. My life is on the line. You're asking me that question, and then afterwards, the only thing that I said was hi or something like that, and you're telling me that I'm a hideous beast. Is that what you recommended to court? My God, you're a girl. You're 25 years old. How stupid can you be? And you're working for the state of Idaho. You're supposed to be fair and just. Okay? You freaking idiot. So I'm in court, okay? So all these things were done. And then my stupid attorney, right? He should be disbarred. The guy should be disbarred, right? And I gave him money too. I'm telling you, this guy is apparently a ward of Latter-day Saints or something. And I just purposely disclosed that I was a Catholic. And that's why this fucker was trying to like rail me or something. I don't know what it is. And so I told this guy, hey, look, just talk. I don't know how to talk, so you talk. And so so he talked on and on about I don't even know what he's talking. It's so totally one-sided, all that stuff, because he's part of the other side, right? So now I'm in court, and this sibling was chimed in onto this Zoom call, right? And so so I was trying to everything is over and everything was accepted and the plea agreement was done, and I'm trying to clock it out, and the guy, you can tell how vicious, you can tell what kind of dog he is, right? The guy wanted vengeance. Okay, he wanted whatever it took. He wanted vengeance. Okay, whatever he thought that I did wrong to him, he wanted me to know that he did it. He put me in this situation. He wanted me to see it. So I tried to click off. So I clicked off, and I can literally see the devil staring back at me. I can see that, right? So now here I am. This is where I am. Okay, so I'm telling you, that's why I'm saying, look, the record may be this way. The true devils are those two people who got me in this situation. I was the one who did all the work. I took care of my father, okay, at the expense of my job. My mother would call me when I was at Micron and say, hey, come home. Okay, I'll come home. Okay, a little bit later, what am I supposed to do? Okay, I have to help her. Okay, does anybody see? Anybody out there? Does this make any sense? All right, I don't know why I'm talking like this. I don't know why, but I'm telling you, that's the reason why this is the situation. Let me just say it. I don't know if I can repeat this ever again, but I'm just telling you the whole story. This is the situation. All right. I have no interest in taking vengeance on these people. Eventually, God will take care of them. Okay, God will take care of them. But I'm trying to make the best of this situation. And why did I get into this situation? Why am I talking about this? Why am I talking about this? Why am I talking about this? Okay, why? Why am I disclosing this? I don't know why I'm disclosing it, but I'm disclosing it. I just want you to know. Okay, so let's say that I'm I don't know, somehow I become profitable and massively profitable. And if somebody asks me, hey, could you tell me your story? Okay, do you want the short version or the long version? Okay, if you want the long version, this is the video. The short version is, I'm telling you, I'm innocent. Okay, I'm innocent. But this is how it works. Okay, look at these people. Here's an example. exaggeration is one thing, but as an official who is a lawmaker, okay? So there's this female senator, okay? AOC. Her name is AOC Cortez. Her last name is Cortez, right? So she says this. Stephen Miller is apparently like 5'11", okay, 5'10" or 5'11". His height is 5'10" or 5'11". But she, a lawmaker, says that he's 4'10". Okay, so here's the situation. She is a lawmaker who represents her population, the people who voted for her to represent them. That's why they voted for her. She is a lawmaker. She represents population of Americans. Okay? You have to speak the truth at all times. Politicians, they avoid telling the truth. There's three ways of talking. One, flat out lies. She's telling the flat out lies. Politicians, they avoid answering the question. That's the middle of the road. That's what a politician does. The third part is tell the truth. He is 5'10", 5'11". There's three ways to answer. But as a lawmaker, you cannot tell lies like that. It is so evident. It's black and white. You cannot do that. A politician avoids it by delaying the question until the person who asked the question is moving on. Okay, that's what a politician does. Okay, that's what you have to do. But that is a lie. Okay, why am I saying that? Okay, you have people who are politicians who are saying these lies, and when you say these lies, even in jest, in the right environment, it will put somebody like myself who is non-consequential to have a 10-year probation. That's what happens. You put somebody in 10 years of agony. 10 years is approximately like 12.5% of lifespan of somebody's years based on 80 years of lifespan. You're stealing somebody's life. And these two siblings did exactly the same thing, right? Telling lies where it is anything can happen. Anything, even if I am innocent. But when we go into that situation, anything can sway these people, ignorant people, just like that person who was that girl who was like giving the PSI. I'm telling you, people like that will convict an innocent man. I'm telling you. Okay, I knew that. I knew when my criminal, everybody was against me. I can see it. I knew they were railroading me. I knew it. Okay, I knew it. That's why that I had to take it. I had to save my life. There was two choices. Two. One, die or live. Or live, okay? Die or live. That's it. In order for me to live, okay? I had to say something that I had to say, look, I did it even though I didn't do it, okay? I had to say it. That's the only way to live. That's the only way to live. If I said I was innocent, I would have been dead. If I got about 25 years in prison, it's over. It's over, man. I'll be like 75 years old before I get out. Okay? Even with good behavior, it would be a devastating consequence. They knew it. And still, these two people kept lying. They lied to destroy me. They did that. Okay? Only now do the judge said, hey, do you even know what felony is? Of course not! I have no idea what a felony is. You have any freaking idea? At that time, my mind was like, I was distraught. And you're asking something like that? I've never experienced it. I'm not a lawyer. I told my own lawyer, I said, look, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know what's going on. I need some help. Okay? And I told him, look, I'm innocent. I'm innocent. I'm telling you. I'm innocent. I'm innocent, you motherfuckers. I'm innocent. But these douchebags, I'm telling you, they need to be disbarred. They have to be disbarred. Okay? I can only do so much, but they have to be disbarred. I'm telling you. They're like whatever that chick is, the Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, or whatever it is. That crazy motherfucker. They're the ones who's committing the crime, but they convict an innocent man. They convicted President Trump. So he was convicted. He had like $500 million he had, right? But it was dismissed because he's a powerful man. I'm not a powerful man. I'm just a flea, okay? It was easy for these motherfuckers. I'm trying to make the best of it, okay? I'm trying the best of it. When I lose and I get into this situation, I get really upset, okay? I get really upset, okay? Because there's no freaking justice. You know what the justice is? The prosecutor needs to be fired, okay? That's one, okay? My criminal attorney needs to be disbarred, okay? Okay? My civil attorney needs to be disbarred, okay? The two siblings need to have felons. They need to have felons lying to the court, okay? They need to do that. That's justice. That's justice, okay? But I'm not going to do anything about it. All I can say is I'm innocent and let God handle it, okay? That prosecutor, he needs to be fired, okay? My two attorneys, civil and criminal, they need to be disbarred, okay? These two siblings, they need to be convicted of a felony, okay? They need to do that. They need to be convicted. They need to suffer what I'm suffering, okay? But I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm going to make the best of this situation. Okay? I'm going to make the best of this situation. And hopefully my kids know what the truth is, okay? I pray they know the truth, okay? All right? What was I getting at? Okay. Trading is emotion. And then there's this part about looking at the data, and then taking the journals, and then enhancing what I have in order to improve the efficacy of the trade that I'm taking. That's it, okay? So everything in between you can ignore, okay? The beginning and the end, right? Anyway, so if somebody asks me, somehow if I get a job somewhere else and somebody asks me, so, hey, what is this background thing, okay? Can you tell me about it? Just look at this video. Just look at this video, maybe, okay? Just look at this video.